Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of central Slovenia, which coincidentally is in Slovenia. Now, quick note about the regions of Slovenia. They're called statistical regions. And it's very weirdly complicated, and I'll find maps of the regions, but they're just blank. They don't show the cities. So it's very hard to draw the borders, and Google doesn't recognize them either, so I can't even pull them up on Google Earth. So central Slovenia pretty much is like this area roughly around here. But I have a surprise for you. There's a second region that we're going to talk about tonight called Central Sava, and it's about right here. It's very small. Now, it's left out of the title and is going to be left out of most of this video because I found little to nothing about Central Sava. Obviously, it's named after the Sava River that flows through here, you can see. All that I really found about Central Sava, which capital is Ljubljana, was that all of the towns built in here were constructed for industrial purposes, like 1700s, 1800s, for various industrial means, mining and things like that. And that was pretty much it. It seems like out of all of the wonderful history of Slovenia, nothing happened right here, except for towns being built to be industrial towns. So that is the history and geography of Central Sava. So I lumped it together with the region of Central Slovenia so that I didn't have a 2-minute video about Central Sava. I really didn't find much on Google Earth either. We'll try to take a look later in the video when we go to the tablet, but I got nothing for Central Sava. If you're from that area, I apologize if I did not do my due diligence and didn't find the correct history. Just let me know in the comments. Drop the deep lore about Central Sava so that we can all know. So tonight we're going to talk about Central Slovenia for the rest of the video. Now, Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, is centered right in the middle of central Slovenia. Everything else around it, I didn't find much about that either, to be honest. Sorry if you hear my cat in his litter box. He's going to have zooms in a second. We got to prepare for that. But anyway, I didn't find much about the other little towns around Ljubljana. So, we're just going to talk about Ljubljana. It was very frustrating research, but I did love to learn about Ljubljana right there. It is named after the river that flows through it, the Ljubljanica. And the city and this entire statistical region of central Slovenia is in this depression area around the Alps, the Julian Alps, they're known as. Lots of big mountains, of course, Triglav being the most famous in Slovenia. But this area is like the lowlands. Oh, there you can see right there. Julian Alps, right there. The mountains all around. There is a big marshy, swampy area just south of Ljubljana, which I read a lot about, leads to flooding of the river during rainy times. But that's pretty much the geography for that area. There are 2 UNESCO sites in this area. Let me get my tablet and we'll read about them. First up, we have in the city the works of Jože Plečnik in Ljubljana, human-centered urban design. This is really long. The works of Jože Plečnik, carried in Ljubljana between World War I and World War II, present an example of a human-centered urban design that successively changed the identity of the city following the dissolution of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, when it changed from a provincial city into a symbolic capital of the Slovenian people. The architect Jože Plečnik contributed to this transformation with his personal, profoundly human vision for the city, based on an architectural dialogue with the older city, while serving the needs of emerging modern 20th century society. The property consists of a series of public spaces, squares, parks, streets, promenades, and bridges, and public institutions like the National Library, churches, markets, and the funerary complex that were sensitively integrated into the pre-existing urban, natural, and cultural context and contributed to the city's new identity. This highly contextual and human-scale urbanistic approach, as well as Plečnik's distinctive architectural idiom, stand apart from the other predominant modernist principles of his time. It is an exceptional case of creating public spaces, buildings, and green areas according to the vision of a single architect within a limited time, the limited space of an existing city, and with relatively limited resources. I read a lot about this guy. He's very important to what Ljubljana looks like today, and he loved columns, you guys. He put columns on everything. On all of his bridges, that's the 3 bridges there. All of the churches, let's see, the entrance propylea, columns. The Cobbler's Bridge has columns. This beautiful church full of columns. Like, look at this bridge. Just columns everywhere. He loved a good column. But we'll talk about him in history. Let's go back in history to the earliest times of Ljubljana with the prehistoric pile dwellings around the Alps. This serial property of 111 small individual sites encompasses the remains of prehistoric pile dwelling or stilt house settlements in and around the Alps, built from around 5000 to 500 BCE on the edges of lakes, rivers, or wetlands. Excavations, only conducted in some of the sites, including ours tonight, have yielded evidence that provides insight into life in prehistoric times during the Neolithic and Bronze Age in Alpine Europe, and the way communities interacted with their environment. 56 of the sites are located in Switzerland. The settlements are a unique group of exceptionally well-preserved and culturally rich archaeological sites, which constitute one of the most important sources for the study of early agrarian societies in the region. Now, there's only one picture associated with it, this stilt house here. And normally, I would skip a site like this, like you can see how many locations there are. So I'm not saying it over and over and over every time we come to this area of the world. But the site in Slovenia that we're talking about tonight actually has a little museum, like an outdoor museum where they've rebuilt some of the stilt houses. So we'll take a look at those. So I had to read that for you so that we could go look at it. But that's where our history begins. The very first settlers in this area building stilt housing over this marshy, swampy, lowland area here. Oh, hey, Bonnie. Oh, my goodness. She's eating my flowers. Bonnie, stop eating my flowers. Stop eating flowers. It's not good for baby. Come here. Come here, Bonnie. Let's talk about Slovenia. There we go. She's adamant about eating the flowers. Okay. Thank you, baby. Stilt houses. Eventually, this area would be the home of the Illyrians and various Celtic peoples. But there is an ancient legend associated with Ljubljana that goes back into Greek mythology. It involves Jason from Jason and the Argonauts. If you don't know that story, it's like a hero's journey about my cat eating flowers. Get down. You lost privileges. Thank you. About Jason and his brave crew on the Argo, hence the name the Argonauts, heading over to what's now Turkey to find the Golden Fleece. They do find it, and it's a madcap journey to come back home. Very common in Greek stories, right? Road trip stories. Along the way, Jason encountered a dragon, and he slayed the dragon. And a settlement was built on that site, and that is Ljubljana. So dragons are very much a mascot of the city. We'll look at the dragon bridge when we're looking at Google Earth. In the 1st century CE, the Romans established a little base here, which would eventually turn into a settlement known as Emona. But it would be completely destroyed in the 5th century CE by Attila the Hun, as he ravaged the countryside. It would be in the 6th century that the area would be settled by Slovene Slavs, the ancestors of today's Slovenians. And they would establish a fortress that would eventually become Ljubljana Castle up on a big hill by the river. This area came under a lot of different people, but it came solidly under the control of the Habsburgs in the 13th century. The town they established was called Laibach, Ljubljana being the Slovenian pronunciation of Laibach. In 1335, it became the capital of a region in the Habsburg Empire known as Carniola. In 1511, a huge earthquake would destroy the city, and the city was rebuilt in the modern architecture of the day. That's some foreshadowing for you. In 1809, Napoleon would come around, ruining things for everyone. Napoleon, as he was conquering his way across Europe here, he thought that he would create his own new countries, and he created the Illyrian provinces, and Ljubljana was made the capital of that. And of course, after he was done and that all changed, that was taken away, obviously. Napoleon had some wild ideas. But he also, because he tried to draw lines all over Europe and create his own countries, made a mess of the area. So in 1821, the Congress of Laibach was held here. And it was the major powers of Europe redrawing the map to figure out what was what. And that would pretty much hold up until World War I. In 1895, a huge earthquake would strike the area and destroy the city, and it would be rebuilt in the architecture of the day. At that time, it would be the Art Nouveau style, and it was not long after that that we got Jože Plečnik, who built all those wonderful columnar buildings and very famous bridges, very famous churches, very famous riverside areas, and we'll look at them on Google Earth. He pretty much, this was his hometown, so it was really a passion project, and he made it as beautifully modern for the time, right? With throwbacks to traditional Slovenian styles and architecture. And it's gorgeous. It's really beautiful. World War I happens. This area becomes part of the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes because the Habsburg Austria-Hungary Empire is no longer. The Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes would eventually become Yugoslavia. But Slovenia, it's in the name, was its own little area within the kingdom/country. But before Yugoslavia really took off, World War II happened. The city was occupied by the Italians in 1941. It would eventually be taken over by the Germans. And it was pretty brutal, you know. We all know our World War II history, like we talked about Southeast Asia. We all know the atrocities Japan committed in those areas. We all know the atrocities that the Italian fascists and Nazi Germans committed in the areas they occupied. There were many guerrilla fighters, as there were throughout many parts of former Yugoslavia. The Nazis built a huge fence around the Ljubljana main center, barbed wire fence, to try to keep pesky fighters, freedom fighters, partisans, and such out, or maintain the city as well. It was a lot. Let's put it that way. It's one of those places where there was quite a bit of a Jewish community, and after World War II, there was not, to put it in YouTube-friendly terms. Very devastating. But this area would bounce back in its own style after World War II in the form of Yugoslavia. There would be a few more, modern buildings of that time built alongside the beautiful old Art Deco. Creates quite a juxtaposition today. But Yugoslavia collapsed after the death of Tito, Josip Broz Tito, who was like the supreme leader of Yugoslavia. It all fell apart once he was gone. And Slovenia would declare its independence in 1991. Serbia, which was the heartland of Yugoslavia, was not about that, was not enjoying all of these different areas of the country breaking apart, and declared war on most of them, one of them being Slovenia. But unlike most of the other areas that Serbia declared war on, this one wrapped up quickly. It's called the 10-Day War, and Slovenia would come out on top and become its own thing. Today, Ljubljana is a very beautifully modern city with its old traditions intact. Wonderfully old, charming European customs and foods and buildings, all of that. And it seems very charming. It's just it's one of like the smallest capital cities in Europe by area. It's really quaint, it's really lovely, and I think we should go take a look at it on Google Earth, don't you? Let me grab my tablet, let me hit the lights, and let's go see Ljubljana and central Slovenia on Google Earth. Let's go. Here we are in Ljubljana and central Slovenia, roughly this area here. And then central Sava is over here. But let's zoom out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. It might be kind of hard to find Slovenia because it's very little compared to other countries nearby. But you can see right here, kind of looks like a chicken wing or a chicken leg, to me at least. But it's just alongside Italy here, Austria, Hungary, and Croatia. This little Mediterranean sea coast there. You can see the Alps coming through there. So the Alps just peeking right around there. So you can find beautiful Slovenia, such an underrated country. It's so beautiful. All right, before we head into town, let me show you Trebovia. So you see the Sava River right there, Trebovia. Yeah, they're all just little places. Oh, let me make sure the everything. Oh, see, it wasn't. I hate that turns itself off all the time. But you can see lots of mining around here, lots of industrial centers. That's pretty much it. There's like not much else in this area to look at. There are lots of cool old castles though. We'll look at some of those. This is Camberg Castle. They're all in ruins, so it's not like it's a big tourist draw or anything. But it is still very beautiful. Look at the countryside. Look at that ruined castle up there. Whoa! Skeleton man in the cage. Oh no. Look at him up there. Very precarious. But yeah, there's some interesting little castles around, but that's pretty much all I got for you in Central Sava. Unfortunately, it's just a little corner. But over here you can see beautiful Ljubljana. Down here you can see the big plain that, I don't know, every source I read called it a marsh, but it doesn't look that marshy to me. It's all farmland, all beautiful. But I guess you can't really tell it's marshy because it's covered in farmland. People taking advantage of all of that marsh. You can see big mountainy areas over here. And we are going to look at Ig right here. Because here in Ig, we can see the site. I just have to remember where it is. Where they built some stilt houses. I assume it's over by the river. Aha, aha. Right here. reconstruction of prehistoric bog dwelling. So this is how people used to live once upon a time in this area. I wonder if you can go into the little houses. I guess this is oh, you can. You can see all of their equipment there. Little bed. It's not too, uncomfortable. I think it looks very cozy. I think it looks quite nice. That's how people used to live here once upon a time. You can see some of the creatures that live here. I guess this is a good example, though. Look at the mountains in the background. Isn't that gorgeous? A good example of the bog swamp kind of area, right? You can see how wet it is. And little fences built to help control the flow of water, to help them start farming, which they can see here they still do today. Alright, other than that, I crawled all over this area, and it's kind of hard because I don't know how far until I'm out of bounds from central Slovenia, but I really didn't find much else that was you guys gotta see this. There's another castle here, I think. Yep. Oh, that's a very modern castle. That's not very exciting. It's very pretty though inside. Is that a pumpkin? No, that's like a vase. Okay. Anyway, but we're gonna head to the main event and look at beautiful Ljubljana. So we're gonna start right here at this castle, Ljubljana Castle, which sits atop this big hill, overlooking the whole lovely city. Very medieval, very beautiful inside this church or chapel. Oh, big spiral staircase there. Looks like that was rebuilt. Oh, this is a good example. You can see the modern, brutalist block style communist apartment buildings next to the charming old-timey buildings, right? That's what I'm talking about. Cool knight in shining armor. Modern next to the traditional. Look at that facade. It's so pretty. It's like a little mushroom. There's a dragon. The curled spiky tail. Big cannon. And lots of beautiful things to see around the castle. There's museums and such inside of it too. Alright, let's go to the next most famous place in Ljubljana. This is the Triple Bridge. 1, 2, 3. Which leads into Prestronov Square. Prestronov statue's right here. Surely there's a picture in this slideshow. There he is. He's like the national poet of Slovenia. This big church pretty much is what pops up when you Google Ljubljana. It's like the most distinguishable of its buildings. You can see why it just pops, doesn't it? That pretty peach color. So this is the real heart of the city. The bridges make it feel so quaint, doesn't it? And of course at Christmas time it's beautiful, just like every other quaint little city in Europe. All the beautiful lights, and under the bridges too. How cool is that? There's the dragon. Let's look at the dragon bridge real quick. It's over here. That's like a padlock bridge nowadays, and this is the dragon bridge. This is the symbol of the city right here. Big dragon. I haven't made the title yet for this video, but I'm going to try to put the dragon in the intro. Hopefully it works. I'm going to make the title right after I finish filming this. Some modern art there as well, alongside dragons and griffins and all of that. Another little mushroom. I like that facade a lot. I've never seen that before. I'll show you my favorite little architectural feature from Plečnik, which is down here. See these stairs going down right here on this one of the triple bridges. We can look under here. There's a slideshow somewhere right here that will show us Plečnik. This little area, this is the main area up here, right? And then there's a little area down here. So look at all these columns for days. He loved columns. This little area down here where there's restaurants and things. right alongside the river. It's so cute. You can go on like a little stroll in like the secret area under the main road. And it's really cute. There's the Lock Bridge. There's a lot of those in Europe. Little clams. Little guys there. They're beautiful. It's very Venetian, which was on purpose apparently. The city is the halfway point between Venice and Vienna. So it's the bridge between the two cultures, right? The Germanic and like, I guess Italian, we would call it today, cultures. It's all very beautiful. Very beautifully intentional architecture. There's also this square over here, more Baroque architecture. There's a gorgeous church nearby, or cathedral, I should say. I think there's a picture of it right there. Over, oh, there's the fountain, but I think we'll skip that. There's the main market area. Right here, it's literally staring at me. If I can make the slideshow pop up, maybe this. Not quite. Oh, no. I would like to see one cathedral, please. Or not, I guess. This big cathedral right here is really gorgeous inside. But, maybe. No. No, this is something else. It's a pretty little feature there. Okay. Apparently, we're not going to look at the cathedral. You can do that in your own time too. Let's check out the market real quick. Of course, it's gorgeous. Let's pick out something to buy. The columns everywhere. He is obsessed with columns. Looks like we got some flowers over here. I can replace the ones that Bonnie keeps trying to eat. Lots of little flowers. I wouldn't mind doing that. Berries. Oh my gosh, I love berries. We got raspberries, blueberries, cherries, blackberries, and strawberries. It's all my favorites. Oranges back there. It looks like black cherries back there. Those are all the best. More lovely flowers and street art and columns. Columns everywhere. Get some clothes too. And you can weigh your items here on the scale just to make sure that they didn't rip you off and you got what you wanted. Over in this square over here, Republic Square, this is where Slovenia's independence was declared. And you can see it is definitely from a more modern time. Look at that. Definitely that, brutalist, communist style next to the charming old-timey style, right? What's Chopin's Passage? I'm just so intrigued. What in the world? Okay. That's nice. But yeah. Let's see. There's lots of monuments around here. They're very communisty. Very, we stand together. There's another, I wonder if it's here, or I don't think so. Over here it must be. Yeah, look at this. This is the most communist, brutalist monument I've ever seen. Big column as well nearby. And more modern art. And the colonnade, right? All the columns you could ever imagine. This is the main government building of Slovenia. This is where it all happens. I can't remember which one is the right museum to show you. National Museum, that's natural history, so I want this one. Although we've got some Egyptian stuff. Some mammoths. That's pretty amazing, actually. This old pottery here. And, oh, this is the flute. This, I believe, if that's the one I'm thinking of, was the very first, or let me rephrase that, the oldest instrument that we've ever found. Yeah. And I think it's made of mammoth bone. That's obviously all that's left, but I believe that's it. That looks like it. The world's oldest instrument. There's a dinosaur out there. Lots of old columns, lots of beautiful old pottery there. Big alligator and turtles. I imagine this was all underwater once upon a time. Over here we have the Tivoli Garden, which is this, not a garden at all. It's a massive, massive green area. Which, I'm trying to think, oh, I want to show you this though. There's lots of things to see in here, but this is the little memorial for the 10-Day War. We can see all of the beautiful nature around it as well. Looks like it's like late winter there. Oh, it's translation here. In the war for Slovenia in 1991, on June 28th, 1991, members of the military police platoon from the 5th Police Station in Ljubljana, in a brave fight, they captured the Yugoslav Army Electronic Operations Center in Rožnik, Regional Association of Veterans for the War of Slovenia in Ljubljana. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? The more modern city out there. And yeah, it's this huge green space. There's lots of old homes and hiking trails throughout. Yeah, there's a lot to see out there. Lots of little museums like these types of cities tend to have. Oh, this road is really cool. Kind of like Old Town. Oh, look at the castle all lit up there. That's amazing. And Christmases, of course. Lights everywhere. Looking so beautiful. Just lights for the sake of lights. It's like there's no rhyme or reason there. But how beautiful is this city? It's so charming. Little riverboat cruise. Alright, I can hear the birds singing. It's very early in the morning. I wanted to film this because it's been snowing like crazy all night, and I know that the snowplows are going to come out, so I wanted to film before that happened. But I can hear little birds singing. So I think it's time to end this video. Let me find something else to show you. This is really pretty, but I want a longer slideshow. Look at that cool old tree. There's lots of, what's this? Lots of nice little green areas around. Oh, this is very charming. This is perfect. Let's end it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. Next, we're heading back over to Indonesia, where, oh my goodness, we're going to see one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Okay. If you like Rapa Nui, Easter Island, the Moai heads, if you're into like Karnak stones, like me, if you're into just really cool old rocks, especially designed ones, you're gonna want to watch this video, because there's a national park there in central Sulawesi where there are just so many of the most incredible rock carvings. This yummy pizza. I take the arugula off, that's too much, but it still looks good. Incredible. You can't miss it. Be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. It's like my favorite thing. I got so excited when I was researching them. They're amazing. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. So pretty. Was that taken recently? Yeah. I was gonna say it was just Valentine's Day the other day. This was taken just a few days ago. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good night. I'm trying to tap Ljubljana so I can zoom out. There we go. Good night.